So thank you very much for joining us, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Lama. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sylvia and the team for inviting me. And good afternoon, good morning to everybody in the world. Okay, so I can start my presentation, and you are so kind maybe to screen to share the screen. Okay, so that's we can go on the second slide. In this presentation, I would like to talk about connections. So water, for example, is an important connector, being at the very center of the environmental, social, and economic dimension of the sustainable development. Look at this at this map. For the first time at the 2020 World Economic Forum in Davos, the Risk Perception Survey has ranked climate change and related environmental issues like loss of biodiversity as the top five risks in terms of likelihood. Not only, but the climate action failure, the major global risk, has been considered directly interconnected with other global risks like extreme weather and biodiversity loss, but also food crisis, water crisis, and involuntary migration. Climate change manifests itself with an increasing frequency and magnitude of extreme events that trigger water-related disasters, which in turn highly affect communities and land and make societies very vulnerable and miserable. Think about this data. 74% of all natural disasters between 2001 and 2018 were water related, and during the past 20 years, floods and drought affected over 3 billion people, with a total economic damage of almost 700 billion US dollars, with Asia and Africa being the most impacted. The global population is expected to increase up to 9.8 billion by 2015. So the world is growing. And this is, of course, a significant driver of increasing water demand. Cities are the place where population grows more and are often the hope for many people that migrate from degraded or overgrazing or arid lands looking for a job, for a better life. Very often this is not the case. So most vulnerable part of the population move to the outskirts of the city to live in slums. Therefore, we have a situation in which the growing climatic variability has impacts on water availability and quality, which in turn bring to unemployment, progressive dependency on food importation, internal migration from rural to urban areas with the creation of informal human settlement, as I said, social instability, and eventually unrest, conflict, and generalized fragility of the countries. You can well understand that this is a discouraging scenario, especially for young people who eventually decide to migrate. And in these situations, migration becomes a needed decision. It could be either the consequence of failed environmental adaptation, they just couldn't make it, or the only way to adapt climate-induced environmental stresses. Then becoming resilient is an important issue, and it is a gender issue. Indeed, a household's resilience to climate change can be significantly affected by the fact that women are poorly entitled to agricultural resources of both land and water, and that have little time to generate income. Moreover, in case of disaster, women usually have lower mobility than men. Okay, we are at the conclusions. I conclude with some food for thought. A fundamental component of planning for economic growth, social well-being, and environmental sustainability shall be building better resilience to water scarcity and drought in the different communities. Water scarcity and drought should be addressed not only through building infrastructures, but also by improving supplies through efficient practices and managing the increasing demand and conflicts among the different users through a science-informed governance, which recognizes the key role of women and youth and create inclusive and gender-inclusive responsive policies. Okay, and thank you very much. This is the publication that we produce at WAP. Thank you for the attention.